Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. It's Wednesday night, and we're going to take you into some of the wider Floridian festive fun and exploring just what you can do if you're visiting Orlando or Florida over the Christmas and New Year holidays. Join in the chat, share your own suggestions of things that we must do if you're experiencing life outside the parks over the festive period. We hope we actually include your favourite, and probably we'll add a few to the plan list too. Welcome to the show.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
Here we go. Look, it's the three guys that are left here. We've been left home alone to run the show.
Three Musketeers or three Caballeros?
Yeah, the Caballeros. I think it's probably more incriminating, isn't it? Really, you know.
Yeah.
It's strange because actually, when we were planning the show, it was going to be me and Simon. I was just dreading the fact that between the two of us, we could just take this whole show totally off route. And we could start talking about going for a beer and stuff like that in Orlando. So maybe it's a good thing that you're with us, Ben, because you'll keep us on track. And
Are you sure?
I'm not sure, but there we go.
I can be easily swayed by a beer.
Yeah, so. I know. That's exactly. Yeah, I think a few people can. It's the swaying after the beer that's perhaps sometimes a problem.
It's this time of year, isn't it? Getting the festive season, Christmas parties galore.
Yeah, no, it's quite nice, isn't it? Because actually, last week I missed last week's show because I was poorly, and so over the weekend I've been poorly. My wife's been poorly. I'm in that position where everything's been done on ultra slow mode. Like the Christmas tree went up on Saturday, but the lights never went until Monday. Outdoor lights are only just gone up today, and it's just like, when you get to the bit, it's just like whatever. If you're not feeling great, you're not feeling great. So
I know Claire's not in the chat at the minute, and I'm not sure whether she will be, but I want to highlight that she got her Christmas tree up a lot earlier than we thought it was going to happen. It wasn't up on like Sunday or Monday.
There you go. So it was December though.
It was December.
Pig group pressure, right? It was a slow having ours up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly a bit of pressure for Millie and Dan as well. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got beyond myself because actually, when it was middle of November, I was that busy complaining about the fact that you go around places and they've got the Christmas lights on and things like that, and I've now changed. We're now into Whamageddon season where you try not to hear Last Christmas.
Oh, I've lost.
Christmas
party on Monday night. It was the third song.
Oh, see, there you go. Yeah, at that point, I usually go and have a word with the DJ, and generally, sort of then get slung out of the Christmas party for having a word with the DJ. And
John, how does the Christmas party work when you're self-employed?
It's great. It's absolutely great. We just like you just do your usual bit, and you just wave at every other driving instructor as you're driving past, and then we always say, we should get together, we should do something. And when push comes to shove, nobody can be bothered going out and meeting with other driving instructors because actually there's far better things to be doing. So
I used to use the £150 person tax break for your Christmas party, John. If you've got a limited company, you can treat yourself.
I'm not quite that big, Simon. I could just put it against my tax. That'd be even better. Yeah. Oh dear, it gets worse. So I think that this hopefully what we'll be able to do is just actually. I don't think we can get away with not mentioning this because actually the big news from yesterday was the fact that Dinosaur is going to stay open for the whole of next year, which I thought was brilliant. And then until I mentioned it to my kids, and they basically said, Yeah, but wait until this time next year, and they announce it's going to be open for the whole of 26 and 27 and 28. And
So it's Dinosaur turning into like Epcot forever.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, it just it seems a little bit like sort of dragging your heels just because you can. And
I think they did say it originally that they were going to do it all in phases to give people the opportunity to. But I'm thinking with everything else that's either closed at Walt Disney World or going under refurb for next year, if they don't have to close it, I'm glad they're not. Because when you think Test Track is going to be, I don't know, they've said late summer, so I'm guessing that's going to be July, August time, maybe September.
Yeah.
Hard to know with Disney's time, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think summer's like
summer
May.
2024. Yeah, was it seems a long time ago.
And they finally announced the Little Mermaid show that I know we've mentioned several times. Like, have they forgotten about this? That's in Hollywood Studios, and then obviously with the news last week of Muppets and which was sort of unexpected, but I'm glad that we managed to discuss it on the podcast.
Yeah, and that's a nice bit as well. Is it? It's possibly pertinent to mention that, Ben, because actually, we're now on the 4th of December, so we're kind of into that mid period of the podcast. So we had a brand new one. Was it only Saturday? Was the 1st of December? I'm just
Sunday, I think. Yeah,
Sunday. There you go. Time flies, doesn't it? Yeah. So brand new podcast out then, which we actually hit so many different things that we've already had news on it again. And I think this is a really good sort of marker of a show. The second part of it comes up on the 15th. So if you've missed it, go back and actually have a little listen, because it kind of goes through an awful lot of things that have happened over the past 12 months. You forget loads of stuff that's actually changed Disney wise, and I think that's really an important thing. And Simon hosted. He actually did a marvelous job of hosting us through the whole show. So that was
it's incredible to look back on the entire year and realize what actually has happened in the Disney space, because sometimes you think time flies by, you don't think about all of these announcements and all these things that change parts of your next trip. And I know our next one's not till like August for Disney World, so it's like, okay, well, what's going to be open, what isn't going to be open, what do we need to change, or what are we looking forward to opening?
Or we might be in the realms of Disney are just trying to keep everything open because actually they've got massive competition.
A lot of people might actually be going to Disney on the back of going to Epic Universe, because if people have put off going to Orlando for a couple of years because they know a new theme park's opening, it might make sense for actually, while I'm there, I might as well Disney as well and do a couple of weeks there, or just extend your trip a bit longer.
I think that's a good point.
And I think that's Disney's perspective, actually, is that it will probably bring in more people. So actually having something like Dinosaur open, I have to admit, we've only done it once, and it wasn't the most comfortable ride. Let's put it.
We actually made a point this summer of actually going and riding it purely because we felt it was going to be the last time. And do you know something? It was one of them things that you just give it a little bit of love, and it comes back, and you think, yeah, it's all right. And you can see what we're going to do with it. It's just basically going to change a few things and chuck Indiana Jones in there.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially like Disneyland's got Indiana Jones with a similar ride vehicle.
Yeah, you can see that coming. Anyway, we're going off topic. Let's get things on track because actually we've got loads of people in the chat. It's lovely to see so many people that are interacting with the show. Just as I am saying that, I'm just going to mute myself. There you go, because I've got a big cough, and I'm just aware that when you've been listening to someone coughing on the radio or coughing on your podcast, it's not a good look. So do apologise if ever I go quiet for more than 10 seconds. It's a coughing fit that's happening.
Yeah.
So this is perhaps a show that we've said that we're going to do for quite a while, and yet we never really got around to it. And actually, the reason we never tend to get around to it is because we always end up being really focused on what's happening in the parks. And I just think it's a really good opportunity to just widen out a little bit from always being in a theme park or being in Disney Springs or being in City Walk or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually opening your eyes to just what else is available. And, some of it you can get an Uber to. Some of it's a little bit further on the Florida trail round to different places. And some places we might talk about, it's a couple of hours drive away or whatever. There's loads. And that's the bit that really surprised me, is just like when you start listing what's actually there, you then become aware that there's actually loads of things to do. The one thing I would say, and that we'll start with this because I know it's a massive favorite of the family, you have to go to Celebration. It's just like loads of people just get this whole thing, it's just like a little town. I would give it a miss, so we won't bother. And actually, it's the most amazing place that when it comes to the festive season, the amount of detail that goes into some of the houses, the actual decoration of them, the whole thing that's going on in downtown Celebration, where I think it snows 4 times nightly and all this malarkey and stuff. It's such a beautiful feeling, and I must say that's certainly one that's on our list each and every time that you ever go over the Christmas period. What about you guys?
Well, we went to Celebration last December, so
yeah,
we visited. I agree with you that the snowing event, but there was ice rink there. There was horse-drawn carriage rides. There was a little train ride you could go on that took you around Celebration as well. See all the lights up. I thought that was a nice little event to go to.
Yeah.
Some of the other places I love to. So the one we went to last year was St. Augustine. So we took a trip up there. So that was and that was just a couple of nights, and it was really just to see the.
Well, can we come back to that? Because actually, I think that's a brilliant one to put in the show. And what I don't want is for us to get through every single thing within the first 5 minutes. So I'm going to keep you holding on that one. I'm going to ask Ben, have you been to Celebration?
I'm going to say the closest we've been to Celebration is to charge up the Tesla.
I see. I always get you on that one. That's it.
I have to admit, we've always, anytime we've been over Christmas itself, was always, we were staying on site. So, and we were only there for like a week. So we never really ventured much out of the parks. But I have to admit, when we were staying at All Star Music. And a lot of the time we were in the parks. We were in the parks from like 7, 8 a.m. open all the way through to like midnight. So by the time halfway through the trip, it was like we got to a point where it was like we were overtired. So we spent some time in Disney Springs, but I have to, we could have, if we thought about it, we should have put in a day to have explored around the other areas, because I have to admit, every time I've looked at a lot of socials recently, there's a lot of things that I've seen appearing in lots of different areas in Orlando that I think that actually you get that Christmas sort of magic, but you don't have to be walking down Main Street to get it.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's what we want to. That's what we want to keep a handle on as we're talking about different things in the show. I'll just point out my first experience of Celebration at Christmas was a good deal, probably about 22 years ago, and it was one of them really strange feelings that you get as an adult. It was before the kids were there. We were purely there just to go and see it snowing as you do, and we kind of got caught up in it. And this is like I was there. We were there with parents, and we just kind of went for a look around and not really taking in that Christmas part of it and things like that. And as we just got drawn into it, and then where we parked, obviously with the car facing the direction of the traffic, because that's one of the little things in Celebration that you have to bear in mind. Don't park facing oncoming traffic. They don't like it. And we were cutting across a piece of land where there was a church, and there was a service going on in the church, and we basically just sort of we went for a little nosy, and we just pressed. It kind of reminds you of a film, and that's a whole bit about Celebration. We were looking into this church, and it was beautiful. Everything was gloriously Christmassy, and then somebody just opened the door and just said, "Come in and join us." And now normally
Really nice.
that would really ring alarm bells, for me, because not going into religious detail, etc. And
I've just got visions of stranger danger there, John.
Yeah, exactly. and you know something? They just wanted us to come and be part of it, and they quickly twigged that we were from Great Britain. And so that became another reason for us to be kept a little bit longer chatting to people and things like that. But it kind of completely reaffirmed your view about what Christmas was meant to be about. And I just thought, and it stuck with me. Yeah, we're talking about in the holiday where you go to theme parks and things like that. A moment like that still remains at the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful way of every year. It always comes up in conversation and always comes up in that, do you remember that time we went to Celebration? And it's just like, yeah, it epitomizes what Christmas is like. And it's not obviously, full of characters and things like that.
We were talking over the weekend that it's been a little while since we've been over Christmas. Yeah. As in, like, it just, and every time we think about going over Christmas, it's like we've got next summer booked, but it's like, okay, I need to go back over Christmas because there's so much happening in the parks that I feel like we haven't yet been to, but also so many of these things I know we're going to talk about later tonight that I think that I really just want to go and do. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but being at home, I always feel like it's being in the UK, maybe it's just I don't feel as Christmassy.
Yeah.
But when you're in Disney and when there's been lights everywhere and the atmosphere, like you just said, John, about being in celebration, it just feels more magical. I just want to highlight, say thank you for someone who's just left us a nice comment. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah. We all need little bits like that in our lives. Yeah. And actually that whole Christmassy part of it, if you've never been to Celebration, Ben, even if you go in the summer, and you go in the summer, it's still great. If you go at Christmas, where I think Robin had mentioned in the chat, she's going tonight. Yeah. Yes, Robin is in the US once again, and Simon actually really is left home alone. But we'll move on quickly.
Is that spoiler for next week, John?
Yeah, maybe it is. Just to also point out, if you go into Celebration, you're going to enjoy the now snowing bit. There's actually a synthetic ice rink there as well, and there's concert events, etc. Parking and admission are free. So again, it won't add to your holiday spend. It's something you just go, you can enjoy, and I'm pretty sure Robin will be going to Celebration with Carrie. I might be wrong, but Carrie actually organised a big meet-up. One of our very first Christmases, we went with the family, and it was one of the mad moments. When a bunch of people have met online. Just all come together and they agree to be in the Celebration Hotel all at the same time. And again, just one of them moments that you just say, this is just like quite a surreal experience. Anyway, I'm going to move us on. And I'm going to get out of the way early because actually I have to say this without any sniggering whatsoever, right? It's not allowed, despite the fact that each and every time we drive past and you see the big sign on the side of the motorway and it says Gaylord Palms, the whole car starts laughing, right? And it's not my fault. It's not me that leads the laughs anymore. In the past, when the kids were young, I had to suppress all that laughter and just basically keep it to myself. But even the kids find it funny. So
I think anyone who drives past it for the first time doesn't realise it and just like has to double check what they're reading. Because we were once on a transfer from the airport to one of the hotels in Lake Buena Vista, and I think we stopped at a hotel to drop some people off. But I have to admit, this was in November, so Christmas trees were up, and I have to admit it looked beautiful. But on the way back to the hotel, all we could do was laugh at the name.
Yeah, it is one of them.
Yeah,
Simon, does it make you giggle? That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, I always wind Robin up about it whenever we drive past.
It's so juvenile. It really is. But
absolutely, it's completely juvenile and childish.
It's the
Oh,
type
yeah.
of thing that if you get a whole, you get, was it three films that they made out of? Was it Gaylord Fokker with Meet the Fockers and the Family Fockers and this other?
Oh,
And I'd love to see how that looks when I watch back and see how YouTube actually relates that. That might be, might be quite an interesting one. That
we'll get a complaint from YouTube going like,
Hello,
"You're swearing on your show."
Yeah, there was no swearing on the show at all. It was quite good. But actually, when you see what they've got within Gaylord Palms, it is absolutely incredible. And not only you get one bit that is not overly costly, but if you go to the ice bit, which is, I think it's $33 per adult, 23 for the kids. This year's theme is based around Charlie Brown's Christmas.
Okay.
And I personally, if I was there next week, I would be going to see it because it just looks amazing. I would be able to just take all my winter gear from the UK, so I'm sorted. But there's 2 million pounds of ice. Now, that's not cost worthy. It's pounds as an American weight, but it's kept so cold you can actually get given a big blue parka to try and stay warm. And I do my homework for the show. Here we go. You can do the conversion at Fahrenheit. It's kept at a temperature of 9 degrees Fahrenheit, which is in Celsius, which I use, is minus 12.78. Now, if you've had a nice day and it's been a bit sunny and a bit warm, that might be a bit of a shock to the system. So it is one of those things. Robin, thank you ever so much. There is discounts on Groupon, and you can still find them. I should put that in the chat, which is brilliant. Always good to know that.
I'm guessing this week, though, all the Floridians would be going there with the coats that they've already been wearing in and around.
They've got to make use of it. It's you in Florida buying a coat because it's got a bit cold. It's like, when do we reuse it? I have to admit, it was quite interesting when we were out a couple of years ago in a freeze over Christmas. And that's the thing. For anyone who's planning a trip to Florida, don't expect it to be really hot in December. Occasionally, it will get a bit chilly.
Yeah, usually at night as well. So
yes.
I must admit, I've been caught a couple of times wearing shorts, and when it gets to firework time, it becomes a little uncomfortable, and
it's fine during like the day, so from like 10 o'clock in the morning to like 6 in the evening. But as soon as the sun goes down, it's you walk into that shop, you come back out, it's dark, and then it gets a bit chilly.
Well, the other one as well to bear in mind is the water parks are shut for this weekend as well. So that used to be my really good get out clause.
That was your gauge of how cold it was.
Yeah, but for us, a water park is actually not a problem when it's cold, because actually we kind of use that in the UK. But if they close the water parks, that's it. It's just like it's never a good experience at all, is it? Like So from there, that ice thing, put it on your list. Go and check it out, and take some gloves. I think it's probably the description. But we're going to keep it in that sort of central Orlando area, and we've got the 2 parts which go on from November the 12th until January the 1st, which is Night of a Million Lights, which is the Give Kids the World Christmas Village. I didn't know about this, and then I think it might have been when we first started doing this show, and a few people put their own YouTube channel and went and actually showed you what was going on.
I think we spoke to Carlos Disney World Freak a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, 2021. I think it was. And that's when we found out about this event, because I had never even realised about it. No,
but it's just amazing. And actually, it's all done for the right Christmassy reason as well, which I just think is just the most amazing thing. Again, after this show, just put it in as a search on YouTube, and you'll actually get loads of different people who've actually gone and videoed it. It just looks amazing. But also you get, I think there's an additional part to it where you actually get a VIP tour and stuff like that, if you can be bothered paying that bit more. But it's like tree trails, and then you get a like going to Centre Parks and getting the Christmas pictures taken and stuff like that. But it is festive music, holiday treats, tram rides, holiday marketplace, and actually enough Christmas lights that actually it then, if you came out of that, I pretty much imagine someone would turn around and say, do you know, they used to have some of that in MGM Studios once upon a time.
Yeah, the lights, the Osborne lights. We just need that moment for the Osborne lights, don't we? Just Disney, if you're listening, we'd love something back.
Oh God, that would be good, wouldn't it? So I'm going to widen this because actually, I've made Simon wait long enough because actually, Simon took us right towards Jacksonville, and actually, I know we've talked about it on the show a few times. We're going to a place called St. Augustine. Actually, is well worth the effort. It's well worth the journey, and I think on one of our trips we were never planning it, and then we watched a program with Dale Winton before he actually died, and he went up there, and when you see something, and you're thinking this is unbelievably amazing. And it was absolutely just a place to behold. Simon, what happens at Christmas at St. Augustine?
So they have the Nights of Lights event. So it's basically millions. I think something like 3 million lights that they adorn all the corners of the historic part of St. Augustine. And you can go on tours. We took a tour last year in like a golf buggy, I think it was an 8-person golf buggy, and toured around all the historic town. It was a shame it was absolutely tipping it down when we went, and we got absolutely soaked in the golf buggy. But to see that amount of lights up around the town was great. Nice historic town to see, but to see the light displays as well was great. We only went to St. Augustine for a couple of nights just to see the light show. So yeah,
and that's the type of place it is. Go and just dip in, soak it all up, and then you come away. We've been left with that lingering part of going there that we really need to go back and visit again. It's one of those things. I think it's because it's not on the tourist trail for people from the UK. It's not publicized enough, and yet when you look at the history of it, it appears as if every explorer from I don't even know what century, 15th century or whatever, every explorer that came across the Atlantic from Spain, Portugal, the UK, actually, they all landed there in different years and things like that. It's got the most incredible history. And when you start looking at it, you think, you could really make something massive about it. And it's a beautiful place. And I really think that for me, it would be a real good Christmassy day out. The other thing to bear in mind, and one of my friends told me about this as well, is if you go in there on your journey, either to or from the Orlando area, you will also get to go to Buc-ee's as well. Oh, yeah. And that kind of makes it even more worthwhile. And
I don't understand what the fascination is with Buc-ee's.
It's like a refined Walmart.
Imagine
disguised as a petrol station.
It's like a Cracker Barrel, but with more takeaway food and gas. You can fill your car up as well.
There's no tires. There's no drugs, and there's anything else. But you've got gas, and you've got the most amazing amount of Buc-ee's merch that you can go and buy. Anything you can go and imagine that has got the word Buc-ee's on it, you can either wear or put on your car or whatever. They've got it, and that'd be really good.
I know we've said this on previous shows before about St. Augustine. You could easily go up there and do it. If you were really hardcore, you could drive up that day just to see it and drive back again. If you could just about do it.
Yeah,
I actually think you'd be just as well doing like a night or two in St. Augustine and seeing it during the day as well, because the historic city is really nice to walk down the streets there.
Yeah.
And it does have such an amazing history in St. Augustine. Even the British had a very brief 20-year ownership of St. Augustine. So it's been just about through the hands of Spanish and British that swapped around a couple of times. But that it was well worth the trip. I felt to go and see that. And as I say, although it rained and we got soaked, it didn't dampen the spirits of being in St. Augustine for a couple of days. The other thing is there's a great distillery in St. Augustine as well. St. Augustine Distillery.
See, I knew we managed to get you onto drinking. That's it. It's only a matter of time. That's it.
It's a way to keep warm when it's slightly cold.
Absolutely.
Do you remember it was cold?
It was cold. It was cold and wet when we were there. We were huddled up.
No. What distillery was cold?
Oh, it was St. Augustine Distillery.
Right. Okay. I'll write that down.
Okay.
It's just on the outskirts of the city, but quite a big distillery. They're well known for their gin. They do free tours there during the day. So.
Sounds rather good. Quite fancy that.
Worthwhile going during the day just to get in the distillery. Leave with a bottle of gin and
that sounds right on Becker Street. Gin.
Yeah. I tell you the other thing as well. If you're up in that area, and this is something I was going to get onto later in the show, but I might as well just put it in here now, because if you're in, it's not that far from Jacksonville. So if you look at the NFL fixtures, because Jacksonville, Miami, and Tampa are not doing that great this year anyway, even if you're going next week or in the next few weeks, check out the schedule. If you want to go and see an NFL game, the possibility is that you could actually try and get that into your itinerary as well. Over the Christmas and New Year period tends to be some of the most amazing times to go and watch NFL. Obviously, it's Florida, so it's not like going and watching in Buffalo where it snows and you get like 6 foot of snow within the period of the game that I watched the other night.
That was my team that got trashed. The 49ers got absolutely destroyed by the Bills.
I just think it was a weather thing, that one. And Nelson, I don't think the 49ers were capable of dealing with the cold.
They used to mod temperate California weather.
Yeah, I think so. But certainly from my perspective, if I go in the summer, it's not the NFL season. If I was there over winter, I would love to go and see it. If you're not able to do that, I know lots of the bars within the Orlando area, you will always go and find somebody to go and share a beer with and just go and watch some NFL live. If you're in the Orlando area I think it's on New Year's Day, there is the college football, and it's the Citrus Bowl, which always looks tremendously busy. So I wouldn't even know how you go and get a ticket for it. But again, it seems to be on about every Orlando TV station. I've watched it a few times. It kind of fills some dead time on New Year's Day if you've got no park ticket.
There are always those good game packed days just around both Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah, as you say, John, for NFL, it's always usually a good opportunity to find a game on. But same with basketball, right?
I've never come across American sports. It's just something that's never interested me. But
I think, Ben, the whole they do sport differently to how.
Yeah, I spoke to someone while we were there last time. A friend. I'm not sure that she's in the chat tonight, but briefly about college football and just how much of their college sports that they really take seriously.
Yeah, they usually
especially compared to what we have in the UK.
Stadiums for college football are usually attract higher crowds than the NFL. So they're usually bigger stadiums, and
and much more vocal support rather than being corporate driven. It does become that absolutely massive sort of tribal following and things like that. It's an absolute sight to behold. It really is. I actually think that's another one. Wendy, you'd rather watch soccer? I was just actually looking. Look, it's been that cold here. Look, the Orlando City hat is there from last weekend, where Orlando actually lost out in the the divisional final.
Every time I see soccer, I just instantly go to Ted Lasso.
Yeah. It's all right. I've got the football on. I've got the football on as well. And our Joe's right beside me, desperately trying to celebrate having gone 4-0 up. You know, so from despair at the weekend that we were going, relegation was bound, and I'm desperately trying not to not be involved in watching it, because actually, you know, I always get into trouble. That Neil always gives me a round for that, because I always end up looking to the left, and he knows exactly what I'm doing.
I feel like you need another screen above you, John, just to like.
That's it. Yeah, I might be in that, I think. You mentioned basketball as well. Obviously, Orlando, if you've got NBA, it kind of falls into that bit where with basketball, it's the Orlando Magic. Seats start around about $120 in the cheap seats. But again, it depends on what you want to do and whether you want to do something. What's really funny is they actually swap out the basketball for the ice hockey. So in Orlando, there is basically a feeder team for the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's a lower level than NHL, but it's actually in the same stadium that you get the basketball, and which is the Kia Center. It used to be the Amway Center. It's only $20 to go and watch ice hockey at a lower level, which I think it's never been one of those things to think about. But over the Christmas period, that actually might be really good. So it was again part of research for the show. If you did want to go to Tampa and you wanted to go and watch the Lightning, they got home games over the festive period, and tickets are around about $100. So again, becomes pricey, which I think is very much the thing for watching in the stadium in the US. But again, just offers something a little bit different.
John or Simon, have you ever been to SeaWorld for Christmas? Because they have a celebration as well, which I know it's going back into a theme park, but it's a bit different to what Disney offer.
Yeah, so we've done SeaWorld Christmas a couple of times when we've been annual pass holders there. And I actually... I'll come to some of the negative sides afterwards, but the celebration there we always find to be a really great evening. So they have the Christmas trees out on the lake near the big stadium, and they have regular shows there where they dance to music that they play. They have a show that they do on the they set an ice rink up usually, and the big stadium that's there, that faces not the Shamu Stadium, the one that faces the big lake. That's the only time I ever know it to be used is during the Christmas period when it's filled for the ice skating show, and then they usually have a fireworks display as well.
Okay.
So, but they also set it up as almost like a food and wine type festival, and they do have festivals similar to Disney throughout the year, but they have a holiday booth set up through all of that as well. I'd say that was the only sort of letdown for us, was the food bit. The food offerings were great, but some of them were huge queues at them. Some of them ran out of stuff, and it was like, I don't know how they could have run out of stuff so early on in the season. It's
like lack of organisation there, of thinking what was going to be popular or
But they had things like they do a meet Santa at the Arctic gift shop where they used to have the helicopter ride. We had a great time last year watching the show, spending the evening there. It was chilly again, so it was like hot chocolates and trying to stay warm. But it was really good. I think it looks just as good this year. They do a slightly naff "Oh Wondrous Night" like nativity show that was a bit naff, but it's still worth. They bring live animals on the stage, in typical SeaWorld style. So they tell that nativity story with live animals.
Slightly different to what you get in Epcot then with the candlelight procession.
Yes, slightly different. And then I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and if you haven't got kids, it's maybe one that you might skip. But the Sesame Street area do Christmas shows and parades as well. Okay. So they do have an Elmo's Christmas show this year, and they offer a parade on the Sesame Street as well. They have snow flurry bits along the seafront, similar to what Celebration do. And I think the trees are called the Sea of Trees. So they're lit on that the lake area, the lagoon. But yeah, I don't know whether you can. I think for the first time this year, they're offering that members of the public and visitors can pay to do the ice skating on the rink, and I think that's the first time they've offered that this year. Whereas usually it was just the Winter Wonderland show that they have that evening. But if you're planning SeaWorld anyway, it's not an additional ticket entry requirement to go to that. If you've already got a SeaWorld ticket because you're going there, you can just be in there for the evening. But yeah, it was well worth the visit, I'd say, just for the shows as much as anything. Yeah.
That's worth knowing, and also a massive thank you with John Self in the chat as well, because as always, we appreciate you always joining us on a Wednesday. It's your Wednesday afternoon. We do realise that, but also said the fact that the actual Christmas celebration this year at SeaWorld is pretty good and preferred it over the other theme parks. So I know.
I think it's the good thing with SeaWorld. You get loads of change and additional things for no additional ticket cost,
and
it's
not like important.
Yeah. You know, some people are heavily put off. You see it with Disney World theme parks that if you don't pay for a Halloween or Christmas party ticket, Halloween and Christmas don't really exist other than the decor, right?
Yeah, that's true. And you don't want to pay up to $200 per adult or per additional family member. So when you think if you've got a family of 4, that's easily $800 to start off with.
Yeah. So I do think it's good that there are parks that offer that. And you definitely feel in the Christmas spirit when you're at SeaWorld. It felt very Christmassy and very festive.
No, that's worth knowing that, Simon, because I think it just offers something different. And I think as well, when you're not paying for stuff, you know, I think that was the reason why the ice hockey appealed for me, because it was only $20. Because actually, you know, when you're on a holiday, you pay for theme park tickets. You obviously pay for your flights, you pay for accommodation. You're very aware that it can escalate, and you can end up paying a whole lot more without even thinking about it. And actually, you don't want to be spending that sort of money. So to realise you get it as part of a ticket, I think it's a really, really good thing.
The same goes for Universal with their holiday events, all the stuff that they do. So you've got like Grinchmas, was it Macy Day's Parade? You've also got the Christmas overlay on the Hogwarts Castle. So there's a few additional bits that, yet again, are just included in your park ticket that you don't have to worry about having an extra event. I think that's really good.
Yeah. No, worth knowing. I'm just going to take us a little bit more sort of into the wider Orlando area, and actually there is quite a lot of neighborhoods that have their own celebration of Christmas, and they've got different things going on. What I would do, and I would just put this in as a little cautionary measure, is think about the location. If you're a visitor, there are parts, particularly up towards, I know that the area near the Orlando City Stadium has a Christmas thing. There are parts that you wouldn't go and put yourself in by choice as a tourist. And I would just put that out there before I go and expand on some places which actually are very highly recommended. First of being is a trip to a good friend of the show, Zach Brown. His hometown of Winter Garden has got a Merry Winter Garden light show, which has got wreaths, lights, trees, and actually just loads of holiday stuff. But they've actually got a farmer's market. They've got a golf cart Christmas parade, which you can't go wrong with a golf cart Christmas parade. It doesn't matter where you are. You know, I think that is going to be a highlight for anyone. And they've also got horse-drawn carriage tours. Again, it can cost up to $20 if you do the extra things. However, it's it's just worthwhile, just that bit wider, and maybe expanding your actual knowledge from out of the Disney and Universal bubble. And I think that's a bit where I think I hope when we get Morg and Josh back on the podcast from their time and their experience, where Zach insisted on being the cultural representation delegate for the USA, but showed them some parts of the wider Orlando area which are actually worth going and seeing, even in the middle of summer, but purely because they are really, really good places to go and see. So again, Winter Garden might be one of those ones. There's also Lake Nona, which, if my memory serves right, is where all the rich golfers live. But they've also got loads of other stuff that goes on there. Holiday event, snowfalls, live entertainment, holiday photo opportunities, and yeah, that's another one. So Lake Nona, Winter Garden, that's another thing to put on your list. Simon, have you got anywhere else you would actually say, apart from a whole list of restaurants? And I mean, in fact, that's maybe I'm going totally off track here, because you were there last Christmas. Now, what is the situation as regarding eating at this time of year? Because from my previous knowledge, it was really busy, and the restaurants become really problematic to ensure that you actually got to eat where you wanted to eat. So is it the type of thing that you actually need to pre-book, or can you do it on the app? Or how did you work around that?
So we always find the two busy times. We've been slap bang over Christmas and New Year before a few times, and we've been over Thanksgiving week a couple of times as well. I'd say those are the really busy times, and you do see it both in the theme parks and outside, that the amount of people waiting is higher than you would usually expect to see. But we've made use of Open Table to book restaurants outside of the parks, and then any that are in Disney, we've always made sure we've tried to find and pre-book the reservations we were after at Disney. But I think you kind of get used to knowing what to expect, and if you have a little bit of flexibility and you're prepared to eat at some quick service places as well, you'll always find somewhere else that you can go. But just especially those busy times, the definitely the week and 2 weeks over that Christmas and New Year, that's always going to be really busy, and especially the Thanksgiving week, where it is very busy over both the weekends before and after Thanksgiving and all through that week. So just go with that expectation in mind. But otherwise, outside of that, usually it's a good time to go. If you're there in, say, early December, there's usually a little bit of a lull just before Thanksgiving and then just after, where it will just have a slight dip in the volumes of people there. So you always want to make sure you're going at the right time of November and very end of November, rather than you go too early in November and all you're going to see probably is Magic Kingdom decorated and you're not going to get much else. But to sample most of these things, you're talking mid to late November before most of those are open. So I'd say just go with an open mind about some places there might be big queues for, because there will be a lot of people probably visiting for the Christmas events. But otherwise, make use of things like SeaWorld. I think Busch Gardens do it as well. They offer like a sample and sip card that you can buy when you're there, and it's just you prepay it and they will punch a hole out on the card, but you can redeem it at the booths around there. And what we did was we would buy, I think, a 12 sample card, and I think if you're an annual pass holder, you got an annual pass version of that came with additional samplers, and we just ate a few samples as our food as we walked. So we didn't need to visit anywhere else. We made use of that over a couple of evenings that we visited there. So I think those are good options if you want to treat it a bit like a food and wine type festival and just eat yourself around the Christmas market stalls.
That's really good, because it's a bit like we went there a couple of years ago, and it was the first time we did Festive of the Holidays, which doesn't start till like late November, early December, and all the sort of where you think like you hear Disney announced that all Christmas starts on like the 8th of November or around that date, but then it's just no, that's the first party, or that's when the first but that's when the Christmas tree's gone up, and then it's only when you realise once you've got home that there's more Christmas stuff. The more when you get closer to Christmas, the more stuff is happening, and especially even off-site where there's a lot of restaurants that do sort of holiday menus and different foods. There's different seasons. You're going to get a different menu. I think we were in either Cracker Barrel or Denny's before, and they have a different menu like November and December to what we've had it in summer before. So,
yeah, you're definitely going to get the festive themed stuff. You'll get candy cane stuff on everything, and cinnamon.
Pumpkin's gone and everything. Pumpkin's gone with Halloween, and which I mean, I'm quite happy because I'm not a big fan of the pumpkin flavour.
Do you know what? It's really funny because actually, if you've ever been at Christmas, one of the things that always sticks with you is just how amazing it is and how much it always keeps dragging you back. And I think even as a family, or even as the two adults in the family, we always still keep saying the fact that wouldn't it be great if we were actually able to go back at Christmas once again? Because irrespective of how busy it is, irrespective of how manic the flights and things like that become, it really does become just the most amazing time to actually go and spend some amazing time feeling completely Christmassy. And actually, from what you're saying, I actually really do feel as if that has to be on the cards soon. From what we've been talking about tonight, and it really, I don't know. It's just,
I mean, we always say there's never a good time of year to any time of the year is a good time to go, but there's just something that just brings you back to Christmas.
Yeah,
Christmas was our first few trips. We had our first one in June, and then 2 after that were both in November. And every time we've gone out of Christmas season, we've gone, I just want to go back at Christmas. There's just something about Christmas. And maybe it's just how we celebrate Christmas in the UK, how it's just the weather's miserable. So when you go to Florida, you get even if it's colder, it's still, I'd rather be in Disney being cold than it would be at home being cold.
Yeah, because it's much better than freezing. I was going to say something else that had been being freezing in this country. Yep. I think it's a polite way of putting it.
Yes.
But yeah, it is. It makes such a difference. And what's been really good is actually looking at stuff out with the bubble and out with what's actually there. And I think that for me is something absolutely amazing. Simon, you got anything else that you would have from your Christmassy experiences into the?
There's only a few things that I'd read that you can visit downtown as well, and they have tree lighting celebrations in the city there through December. So I think from early December just through to before Christmas. And then I think those that if you want to absorb some culture and see some shows, I know Dr. Phillips do usually through December. They have Christmas themed concerts and shows and performances as well. So anything from nutcracker type shows to musical evenings. So it's probably worth checking out and seeing what they have on offer from kind of late November through December. So there's usually, it's pretty packed at Dr. Phillips in terms of their show schedule. So definitely worth checking out if you're that way inclined.
Oh, that's absolutely well, great recommendation. I think
I'm not sure whether we.
Oh, go on, you got more.
Whether we covered the stuff at Icon Park either. I think there's they usually do some Christmas events at Icon Park.
We haven't mentioned that, and actually, because I haven't mentioned that, Simon, because actually it always appears like Christmas when you're in the middle of August. Like there's that many lights and things like that.
Yeah. So. And it's not somewhere we go that often anymore. We tend to start venturing beyond Orlando more when we've been there. We're either stuck in Disney parks or heading a bit further out. But I'm sure wherever you are through December, if you're in Disney, in that Disney area, there will be something heavily Christmas related that might just pop up and be worth a visit as well.
And if you are staying on site, we've said this several times on the show before, Go and visit the resorts. Because even if you don't want to get out too much out of the Disney bubble, go to Disney Springs, there's entertainment, there's a lot of things that you don't need a park ticket for. And you don't need to think about spending extra for the Christmas party or Jollywood nights. But I would definitely put a resort day of visiting the resorts. Because, and even some of the sort of value resorts or moderate resorts, because some of them just, a Christmas tree will appear, or there'll be something, some sort of like decorating competition, or there'll be something. And because we've been through Halloween and through Christmas before, and it catches you by surprise, and it's just that extra little bit of magic or something different that you notice on your trip, and just makes it more memorable. And that's probably a reason why we always want to go back at Christmas.
I think you're spot on there, and I think
Yeah,
I think as well you forget. I know I mentioned before about things that don't cost additional. But actually going to Disney resorts and just going for a nosy, even if you haven't got a Disney park ticket, go for a nosy, because actually it really is something quite to behold.
Disney and free don't normally belong together in the same sentence.
Actually, I get into trouble for that, like
Well, especially what we discussed on our last podcast of 2024. Where it was all about lightning lanes and everything else, and it's always going to go increase because everything's like date-based tickets now. So where Christmas has become a more expensive time of year to go because everyone wants to go over Christmas, you've got to pick and choose, because not everyone's budget is going to. You've got to look at your budget and go, okay, what do I want to do? What's this trip at Christmas going to mean? Because I think there are a lot of people that probably also book their once-in-a-lifetime trip to go over Christmas because of like school holidays and everything. It's something. For us, it was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, but I think we're now on 15 once-in-a-lifetime trips.
Yeah. Our very first one was a Christmas one. And that was again before kids turned up, and actually I'd always felt that I always felt that summertime trip to Florida would be too hot, etc. It's not too hot in August. It's actually much more pleasant than actually being in the Mediterranean. It's a different type of heat. But when you go for Christmas and you actually experience that whole bit where there's a bit of warmth, don't get us wrong, it's not always as chilly as Ben experienced, or maybe some of our previous wafflers always chose to go at Christmas, and actually it was always frozen when
and make sure you keep an eye on the weather, because for our trip then, we only found out about it 2 days before we went. So we were sort of packed, ready with shorts, t-shirt, and everything. And then we realised, like, oh, okay, it looks like when we land, it's going to be -2.
Yeah,
like that's a little bit different from what we packed. Better pack the winter coat.
Yeah, thing is though, I've been to Canada. I went to Vancouver in the middle of summer, and this is probably going back nearly 30 years. And it's just like you go to Canada and you think, well, it's got Canada, we'll be fine. We'll just take summer stuff and things like that. I had the ignominy of having to go and buy jumpers and coats and you're just like, how stupid are we? We've got a glut of jumpers and coats at home. Why do you go and buy them when you go on your holiday? So yeah, a little bit of forward planning. I think that's
The big benefit for us was that it was great because a lot of the locals stayed home because it was Christmas Day. So we were walking around Epcot in a relatively empty park in sort of hat, scarf, and gloves and coats.
There you go. Not proper tourists, Ben. We always used to play Spot the Brits.
The ones that still in shorts.
The one in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm on my holidays. I'm going to go there. I'm going to wrap up because actually I've just got a list, a long list that's been absolutely incredible. And actually, I'm just very aware that in true Wednesday fashion, we've ended up going to cost people an awful lot, either of time or money, moving forward.
Yep.
People buying the SeaWorld ticket, even though they're not
exactly. That's exactly it. And that's why I love doing this on a Wednesday, because you end up with a list to add to your future plans.
I'll tell you one thing I did find was there's a Visit Orlando website. I'll probably post it in the Waffler's Arms, and on there, what they've got is a map, an interactive map, where they've listed all the holiday season events in and around Orlando, and they're all numbered on the map. So I'll share that in the Waffler's Arms for those that want to
awesome.
look at it. But that does help kind of set out, exactly where they are distance-wise from wherever you're staying at Disney or otherwise.
That's really helpful.
We'll stick that in there.
We've also just had, it's really nice, this Eddie H. No idea who you are. Enjoyed the show, gentlemen. New subscriber. Now, if you're a new subscriber on YouTube, we love that. Yeah,
That's
thanks
brilliant.
for doing that. Go and check out our Facebook community, the Waffle's Arms on Facebook as well, because actually, come and be part of the chat. Come and be part of what we do. And it's just like, it's that shared bit about either planning holidays, sharing funny stories about holidays, or generally talking Disney each and every week.
Especially as Disney update the news so frequently as well. And it's been quite entertaining this year. I have to admit, there's been so much that's happened in 2024.
Yeah, it has. It really becomes one of those things. When you start thinking of, like, we could be mid-show and they'll announce something else that's being closed or being taken away. So, I know we always say that we're very positive about what we do, and actually, there's times where we feel as if we're taking to the absolute limit on that bit. But we'll always do it with a laugh, and we'll do it with a smile on our face. Then, you did say before we started, I had to mention this because actually today, I think everyone's social media is ablaze with, like, how much rubbish music they've listened to, etc. But how many fantastic podcasts people have listened to on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts as well. I did have a look at the app. I did have a look at the Apple one. I was a bit disappointed that all the times that I'd listened to our show, I might have to dig a little bit more in it. It was more music based on the Apple front pole. It's different. They split it, don't they?
2024 has been a huge year for us. Like, when you think about it, we celebrated 5 years of our show back in June, all the way back in June. We've had over 28 podcasts, 46 live shows and counting. And I can't believe all the stuff that we've done on the socials as well. It's just amazing. So I want to thank everyone on screen, and also those who aren't on screen tonight, but also everyone who's joined us in the community, in the chats over this past year. And if you have anything that you want us to cover, change, do differently, let us know. Send us a DM, send us a message, or leave a comment. And because 2025 is going to be a good year. I'm very interested to see what happens over the next 12 months and what Disney and Universal bring to the table.
It's got to be a bonfire. I think we're actually sitting in the right place on this side of the Atlantic, because actually you can kind of take a little bit more of a backseat view of it when you're here and just see how it pans out. And I think that, again, that comes up on the podcast more than a couple of times, I must admit, because actually the Universal PR guys are just like, they're a bit, if you've not checked out Paddy Power and some of their PR stunts that they put on their Twitter channel, which are really hilarious. But Universal have obviously had the same people training them or whatever, because they are really enjoying all of this. And it's been good. And just a thank you to you guys for joining me tonight. I didn't think my voice would hang out, and I've got away with it. So
it's the time of year with colds and everything going around, and it's just like, just need to get through to Christmas.
Yeah, I think all three of us are ill, right? It's just I came down on Sunday, so mine's my own fault. I decided to go to a gig in London at the weekend, and that's obviously where I could pick this up. So time of year.
You've got to go to gigs. That's it.
Yeah. To be honest, mine was probably Christmas shopping, so it's like, great.
Nah, that's not a good excuse. Simon wins on the excuse one. That's
You're just stuck to Amazon this year.
That's true. Which also leads us into what we're going to chat about next week, because actually this is going to cause more debate and more arguments, probably amongst us personally to start with, and then we might push it across to you guys in the Waffle's Arms as well. But we're going to talk about the greatest Christmas films or worst Christmas films ever made, and just enjoy a film fest of a Wednesday next week, and
it's not just Disney. It's not just Disney.
No,
so.
it's Christmas films. I'm going to dig into that a little bit because actually I want to get beyond my usual "It's a Wonderful Life" bit, and we'll go there. We'll get
I reckon within 30 seconds someone's going to mention Die Hard.
That'll be me. It's guaranteed. It'll be just like it'd just be a clarification.
Yeah.
Die Hard count.
That's the whole show. Is Die Hard a Christmas film? Because the thing is, if it is, then it opens up the gates to even more films that are just around set at Christmas or snow. But yeah, I can't wait for next week. It's going to be good.
Oh, be good. And I dread to think. I really, my mind's gone now. I'm done. I'm now planning for next week, which is always good. Again, a big thank you to everyone who's been in the chat. We really appreciate you being with us. We really appreciate you supporting our show. And actually, we enjoy you taking time out of your week to join us on the Wednesday. It doesn't matter if you're Heather, who joins us a Wednesday lunchtime, if you're John Self, who joins us mid-afternoon Orlando time, wherever in the world you actually join us, we really appreciate you being there. If you're listening on the podcast, a massive thank you. We know sometimes the show doesn't transport very well onto the podcast. You haven't missed any pictures this week. We've been really careful in actually just making sure that that's the case. So a big thank you for joining us on the podcast version of this show. And that is where we're going to leave you. Stay connected with us on all our socials at GB Mickey Waffle on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and on Blue Sky. And until next week, keep waffling, have a magical evening, and we'll see you real soon.
See you real soon.
See you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my window